Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start our video with a story from a traffic accident. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Drive right on my bumper for ages, then intimidate next car you get to while in a company vehicle? Okay. I was doing 110 in a 100 zone, kilometers per hour, with this guy less than a meter behind me. That particular highway is littered with cops, so I don't want to go faster, and there are heaps of slow trucks in the slow lane that I don't want to cut off just to let this a-hole through. And besides, there are cars doing the same in front of me, so getting past me won't make a difference to this guy's travel time. What annoys me most is, what if something happens in front of me and I have to hit the brakes? What the F is that guy going to do other than cause an accident? Eventually, I move over and he does the same thing to the lady in front of me, drives super aggressively, and the woman looks visibly intimidated. And she herself almost causes an accident getting out of his way, only for this douche to gain one car length. That's it. At this point, I'm behind him again, at a safe 3-second distance, and his car's covered with his company logo and number. Let's dance. I get through to his boss, on my hands-free Bluetooth, explaining what I witnessed, and as a father of two, I don't appreciate people like that on the roads risking my life to gain a few seconds off their trip, if anything, and that I'm compelled to call the cops about it. The boss is a legend and promises to tear the guy a new one, and that the douche in question is going to lose the privilege of that car as he's driving in a manner against company policy, and it's the second time someone's complained. I say fine. He thanks me, and that's that. I'm already feeling good. Now, here's where it gets awesome. Obviously, the boss is calling him because, unbelievably, he answers his phone with his hand to his head, not over Bluetooth. His body language is angry and defensive, but guess what? I'm getting tailgated again, only this time there are lights flashing. I move aside, the unmarked police car zooms past and pulls the guy over. Ah, yes, I'm already grinning like an idiot. I take a deep breath and pull over as well. Am I about to take this too far? The cop jumps out of his car and runs over aggressively, asking why I pulled over as well as the D-bag. I played dumb and said, sorry, because you were behind me with lights, then pulled over. I thought you were checking me. He explains no before he sends me off. I explain the guy's actions and give the cops the number plate of the woman he tailgated as a witness if he wants another. He writes my testimony down, thanks me, and sends me on my way. I take off, slowly grinning at the guy who's fuming and giving me a death stare. I wink, smiling broadly before taking off. So good. And our next story. 9 months of misery and a pregnant goat. Okay, so this was a few years ago when I was in college. I studied languages, and it was required of me to spend an entire school year abroad, either studying or working to get a feel for the language. I decided to pick somewhere rural where nobody would speak English, wanting to immerse myself fully, and ended up being a farmhand in a tiny European village. I lived in a little apartment next to the farmhouse and was supposed to live like part of the family, emphasis on supposed to. Don't get me wrong, the place was beautiful, the work was interesting, and a great workout, and my boss was a decent guy. It would have been pretty fun were it not for my boss's wife. Oh boy. Where do we even begin with this ball of bitterness? Bit of background. My boss's wife, let's call her Witch, was a city girl, one of those high-flying businesswomen who got to travel and work with foreign branches, manage major projects, etc. She was all high heels and designer bags and fancy brunches with her coworkers, and then she married a farmer and moved to the butt end of her country to be a housewife. By the time I came to work on the farm, Witch had 2 small children and had turned into the sourest, most unpleasant woman I'd ever met. I learned later that she treated a lot of employees, especially women, the way she treated me, but they were able to leave. I wasn't. Witch treated me like dirt. I was pretty much treated like a servant, made to clean her house and look after her children, on top of long days working on the farm. She hated farm work and did nothing at all to help. This will be important later. She'd scream and swear at me and call me every name she could think of whenever her husband wasn't around to hear her, and sneer in silence when he was. I was terrified of her, and there wasn't much I could do to fight back. Not only did she control my room and board, but also my pay, food supplies, and the chance of a good review at the end of the school year. I needed good references from my employer for my uni to accept me on the final year course, and that witch knew it. Every time I'd try to talk to her husband or another farmhand, she'd blame it on cultural differences, then step up her game when they weren't around. I remember one week when her husband was away, when I got sick with food poisoning, and for the entire week, she left me in my apartment alone to the point where I ran out of food. Honestly, you'd expect her to drag out the magic mirror and ask it who's the fairest of them all with the way she behaved. So this all goes on for 9 full months. There's next to nothing I can do about it. I just figured I'd tough it out and go home. Then I'd never need to see her again. But then Witch's husband went away again, and I got my chance for revenge. It was literally my final day on the farm, the afternoon before I flew back home. I had to pack and clean up my apartment, but she'd ordered me away from all that to fix a window on one of our guest houses. She liked setting petty chores to overload me, then scream at me when it was impossible to finish them all. So I'm hanging out the window 2 floors up when Witch comes stomping down the path in her high heels and some fancy jacket and starts yelling up at me in her language. She says that I'm to go to the goat shed right away because one of the goats is giving birth and her husband isn't there to help. Now, we'd lost 2 of the goats that winter, so it was important that someone did it. We couldn't afford to lose another goat, or rather, they couldn't afford to, and that's where the revenge came in. Before he left, my boss had given me my final pay and written and signed a recommendation for my college course. I could answer any way I wanted, and she couldn't do a damn thing. No leverage left to hold over me. So I smiled, all nice and polite, and yelled back down that I couldn't possibly come and help. I still had so much to do, and she told me that this window needed fixing. What if I left it unfinished and someone got hurt? What if I couldn't clean my apartment in time? After all, she'd told me to make it spotless for her before I left. I'm so sorry, Witch, but it's just not possible. I could already see her starting to panic, and she started trying to argue about other people who could take my place doing these jobs. Her father-in-law, 60 years old with a back problem, her own mother, untrained, taking care of her kids for her, even the cleaning lady that came in once a week. LOL, what? I had legit reasons for all of them, until finally I said, "But can't you do it, Witch? You've been living here for years. I bet you've done this loads of time. You'll get it done, no problem." Check effing mate. She couldn't back down from that, and the alternative was not doing it and risking another dead goat and a PO'd husband. She didn't have any leverage left over me, and it's not like she could drag me out of a second-floor window, so off she went, the designated goat midwife. It was twins. She was there for 3 hours. The last image I have of Witch before I left for good is of her standing in the goat pen surrounded by the neighbor's kids and a couple of tourists. She was still in her high heels and nice clothes, holding this slimy, squirming baby goat out as far in front of her as she could get it, covered in blood and placental fluid and this thick yellow mucus. The look of disgust and horror on her face still gives me the warm fuzzies. Karma's a bee, lady. And our last story. 2 hours and $15 well spent. So in July of last year, I was able to find a buyer for my old car. It had more or less been passed down to the family, my grandma buying it new in 1992, and overall we'd taken good care of it. But I'd gotten my own vehicle, and the 92 needed new brakes and other issues, and I didn't want to spend the money on, so I'd been trying to sell it for $1,000. Now, my buyer's on disability payments, and he only gets once a month, and he's in his late 50s, so he asked if I could do it on payments of $400 in August and $300 in September and October. I figured I didn't need the money so much, and it'd be nice to use it towards my own car payment/insurance, so I agreed and wrote up a bill of sale. For simplicity, we'll call him DN, Dumb Neighbor. In September, I waited a few days past what DN had said his pay date was before asking for my money. Because I hadn't come to him the day of, however, he'd already spent it on groceries. I got DN's number after that, and in October was able to get $200. It was December before he got it fully paid off. Now, I'd done one smart thing in this. I'd kept the title to the car and didn't sign it over until I had all of my money. And I figured I was done with him now as long as I ducked away as fast as possible. I get one call, however, in March requesting a copy of the BOS, only stating that he paid $500 instead of $1,000. Refused as I'd already reported it as income, and he wanted it so he wouldn't have to pay as much in taxes to get the initial tags. Fast forward to this Wednesday. I get a voicemail from DN saying that they weren't letting him license the car because the dates on the bill of sale and title didn't match. I'd never exactly sold a car before, so I hadn't considered that. But yes, he had waited until August to actually get plates for the car that had been titled over to him since December. Apparently, he's facing potential jail time if he didn't get it done. At this point, I half consider this not my problem anymore, but I figured I'd be nice, even though it would mean staying up after my 12-hour shift until the courthouse opened. I wasn't exactly happy since I had to be back to sleep at some point, but DN shows up, thankfully, and is pretty much ranting while we wait for the office to open how it's my fault and I needed to get a new title for him so it would all be done right. Now we get in there, and the ladies at the desk explain that either the title or the bill of sale needs to be done so that they would have the same date on it so everything's hunky-dory. DN is still insisting that we need a new title. Partly as I see it because he's put his address down as in another county that wouldn't have charged as much for the taxes. The ladies keep trying to explain, however, that we could just do another bill of sale and it would be fine. So the date has to match the bill of sale, July 2018, or the title, December 2018. Even half exhausted and after all the headaches he'd put me through, I just waved them off and said I'd pay the $15 for another title versus just doing up the new bill of sale that would have been free. DN didn't think about the fact that he'd have to pay for a full year's worth of licensing plus his coverage for 2019-20 on top of the taxes. Hopefully they ask for the money before he spent it all on groceries. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.